The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of its hosts, guests, or callers, and do not necessarily represent the opinions of WTBR-FM, its management, other producers, or sponsors.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a drizzly day. It's not as cold as it has been here in Pittsfield. This is Bird's Eye View. Jesse and Mike here with you this morning, and we're waiting and seeing. It just at 10 o'clock. We are waiting to see when the Western Mass playoff brackets come out for basketball, boys and girls. It's going to come out. They're going to come out today. We are hoping to do them live for you guys, live reaction, live breakdown on air. May or may not happen. We think that there's a pretty good chance they come out at 11, which then would obviously ruin that. But we'll give them a few minutes, wait and see. Mike is over there just furiously refreshing the page to see if it'll come out.
I'm a little scratchy. Tell the what is it? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yes.
If you want to make MIA laugh,
well,
tell your plan. PVIC. Well, it's all no, it's through the MIA, right?
Well, no. They use the MIA rankings, but no, this is all PVIC.
So they have to do them themselves this morning, then.
Yeah, I think they've always had to.
No, they just go by whatever the West. I mean, throughout the season, go through the MIA.
Yes.
When the MIA releases, this gets updated with the new.
But I mean, they've had to do that for years now, for 4 years now.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, this come out Thursday morning thing. But yeah, so we had the last update then with the PVIC would have been Tuesday morning when the MIA releases their Tuesday rankings. The MIA doesn't release the next one's till Friday morning. Then
they'd have to do their own
Tuesday
math.
Morning, yeah.
They'd have to do their own math, I suppose.
So we can kind of go off of where things stood Tuesday. Not a ton, obviously, changed.
We'll tell you what I was going to say. Let's give them like 10 minutes just to update, and then and just because in case it will
start
happen.
Elsewhere.
Yeah, let's start elsewhere. I think we should definitely touch on the fact that so I was at Western Mass swimming sectionals on Saturday. You were at Nordic Skiing Championships 2 days ago. I'll touch on it was a small year for swimming. You had 4 Monument girls, 5 Monument Mountain boys. 2 Pittsfielders and one Wacona student that earned Central Western Mass qualification. But it was still impressive, especially for Monument. Impressive performances. The Monument girls got 2 bronzes. Keegan Klein got a bronze, and their 400 relay team got a bronze. Also earned qualification for states. Annabelle Holmes, Helen Thorpe, and Adeline Schufelt all really, really well. And then on the boys' side, Vincent Dragonetti got qualification for states in the 100 free, I want to say. And David Ayusko, some big PRs, got a bronze in the 500 freestyle. Their 200 free relays team did pretty well as well on the boys' side. Who else was there? Dragonetti, Ayusko, why can't I remember their names now?
Reese Fagioni.
And
Isaac Schultz. Did you say Isaac Schultz?
Isaac Schultz, yep.
Oh.
That's 4.
Yeah, and just then, the 4.
No, there was 5.
So there's 5 boys, 4 on a relay team.
Yeah, why can't I not remember the other name now? Oh, this is going to irritate me. All right, well, it'll come to me. And then for Pittsfield, Maggie Vidum was there, the lone girl. Joey Kearns, the lone boy. And then for Wacona, Victoria Latizori, the freshman, was the only Wacona entrant. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a small, but still, they did pretty well. Got some PRs. Coaches were generally happy. Like what Steve Cole has said, the Wacona coach, which is it's a big accomplishment for her to be here alone. So yeah, it was definitely, we knew it was a rebuilding year in the pool, and no one had a really large team. No one had a really old team. So it'll take some time.
This event is always a bit of it's Gregory K. We should mention
Gregory K.
Yes,
thank
golfer.
You, Greg K.
Greg K. For Monument, it's kind of it's different than really any other sport in that they still do this Central Western Mass thing. I don't know.
North and South do.
I know for other sports. I mean, like lacrosse used to be Western Central, pre-state tournament, all that stuff.
Swimming, track, cross country, they all still have like the sectional stuff.
They still blend it. So track still has a Western Mass championship.
I see what you're saying.
Cross country still has a Western Mass championship. The
This one is blended.
This is blended, and it's so.
There's also no divisions, so like,
Yeah,
which is kind of wild.
You're
like,
out there with Longmeadow,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. Minnetonka won the girls Western Central Championship, and it's like, Longmeadow is over twice the size of Monument Mountain.
And the other aspect is you're
Frontier,
also
which is
losing diving points. Berkshire County
Right.
does not dive. Diving counts in Western Mass. So no Berkshire County team's ever going to win a Central Western Mass title, just sheer numbers and sheer fact that diving exists elsewhere. It's somewhat, I mean, if we make the comp to track, Berkshire County doesn't really pole vault, but you're not going to get as much points in pole vault as you are via the diving competitions.
Right.
So it just kind of makes it, it makes it a different vibe, a different goal set for the swimmers. So you do come out of there looking for you're fighting yourself. Some rare few do wind up fighting for medals.
Yeah. And I mean, the Monument girls, like I said, four kids made it. They got 6th overall. That's That's very, very impressive.
Yeah, they've kind of done that over the past few years. They just pop with these crazy times in the last meet of the season, and it's obviously an outstanding program. Back-to-back, dual undefeated seasons this year. I think 6 straight on the boys' side now for the Berkshire League, and it'll be interesting to see. So we'll have the 2 top swimmers will be back next year as well. Keegan Klein should be back for his senior year. Isko back for his junior year.
Right.
And they're kind of in that range of where they could win a sectional championship individually. Isko, I talked to him earlier in the season, and he was kind of spitting some times at me that I was like, wow, okay, that's your, he's got some real lofty goals. And apparently has now can kind of start reaching
he can
these
back
things.
him. And Jill Severino was very, very happy with him and how he swam. And he was, you could tell he didn't want to, and he even said, I don't want to be arrogant. But he was like, I was seated 3rd, so I knew that if I swam well, I would get 3rd place. And in the 500 free, and he did. And so, it's like, all right, well, Lord forbid next year he's seated 1st or 2nd, and then he gets 1st or 2nd. He's like, this is what should happen because I was seated for, So he did what he was supposed to do, and in his mind, and that's an impressive thing. It's a sophomore.
Yeah, he's a very, very confident kid. He was one of the few guys who went last year to the sectional. It was just kind of an introductory thing, but what that event does do in the eyes of swimmers is opens up this different world, this different level of, oh man, this is really cool, because it is a really my biggest issue is that it's always on Super Bowl Sunday, that will not be an issue for me forever.
No, they should never have it.
But I always caveat that with, it's nothing against the event. The event is one of my favorite things to cover every year. Jesse went this year because it was moved off Super Bowl Sunday to Saturday when Jesse was working.
Which made it a lot easier for me to cover. It made it a lot nicer time because the Super Bowl wasn't going on. Yes,
and we all get to kind of enjoy. But every year I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, kickoff is happening. We got half of this swim meet still to go. It's just a clash.
Although the Super Bowl wasn't great this year. So
not that it's more the aspect of the Super Bowl is a holiday. It's a time to kind of be together with people in a room, eating food, chatting, doing stuff like that. Not really a time you want to be working or in a swim pool.
An hour and 15 from home.
Yeah. So it's never ideal, but it is a very, very cool event. I'd say one of the most unique that we kind of get to cover, where it's just this cacophony of screaming parents, kids, coaches, and everyone's kind of going for different things.
Yeah. No, very hot too. It's like you take everything off and then you leave and you got to put everything on. So you're trying to hope you're not going to sweat for the 30 seconds before you can exit the building. So that was always great.
Yeah. So they will continue on. Some of them who qualified will continue to, I believe it's at BU this year.
I think it is at BU. Either BU or
MIT, but
it was one of the two. I remember hearing the organizers talking about it, and there's snow this weekend, so they were worried.
Yeah. So they'll continue on to states this weekend. The The other championship that happened over the past few days was Nordic, where it's kind of different in that we do have some.
That was a return to preeminence, or return to the throne for Berkshire teams.
Yeah, wild. If you look at the list of past champions for Nordic skiing in the state, and it's just a boatload of Mount Greylock, which. Took I mean, last year was kind of an up and down because the boys wound up losing, even though they had this kind of what we thought was a juggernaut team. They wind up getting caught by Newton South, I want to say.
Yep.
And they had this kind of senior foursome, two of them very high level, one of them a two-time individual state champion, Quinn McDermott, and they just got caught by a very strong Newton South team who... you could tell the moment was not lost on Newton South when talking to their coach and everything, and how much they know about Mount Greylock.
Hold on. So just for the listeners at home, just
Sure.
to illustrate our point, right? So on boys Nordic skiing, so last year Newton South won. In 2023, Mount Greylock won. In 2022, Mount Greylock won. In 2021, there was no championships because of COVID. In 2020, Mount Greylock won. 2018 and 19 was down years. Concord Carlisle won. Then from 2017 all the way back to 2011. So that's 7 years. Mount Greylock won every single time. In 2010, Lincoln Sudbury won. In 09 to 06, another 4 years, Mount Greylock won.
Yeah.
And then it was Lennox, and then it was Hoosick, and then it was Mount Greylock, and then it was Lennox, and then it was Mount Greylock. It's like you can count on one hand the number of times Mount Greylock boys don't win state championships in Nordic skiing.
Yes.
So it's wild.
Yeah, which was why. So last year was just kind of a bit of a shock, given the team they had and the high level skiers that they had. But it's this thing is as much as it seems predictable, it's like wildly unpredictable. And this year, Greylock lost a league race to Wacona. Wacona was, I think, 1 point behind them in another league race, 5 points behind them in another league race. So that was kind of. I mean, the theory was coming in. You never really know what the Newton Souths, the Lincoln Sudburys, Concord Carlisles are going to bring, but the idea was okay,
not enough.
It's Greylock, Wacona. Who's going to take this? Wacona has what winds up being the top skier in the state, and Fritz Saunders. They kind of did that. Goliath took him down in a league race. I think it was their first win. We talked about it in the past, but 15 years I think since Wacona had won a league race, and. That was kind of so I'm walking around the finish line and talking to people, and it seems like Wacona is going to be the winner. Fritz Saunders won by a large margin, I think maybe half a minute or so, but they do it in this wave start, so it's hard to tell if someone's going to catch him in the second, third, fourth wave. Didn't happen, but I'm still thinking like, oh, Wacona looks pretty strong, and you just kind of. The Greylock kids got lost in the shuffle of everyone behind Fritz, and also I hate to say it, but the uniform colors are Greylocks are just kind of black with like maybe a little red MG on the side, so you kind of
get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it's easier to see the blue of Wacona. But when the scores shake out, Greylock has it, and I say it's a surprise just because they were second here last year, but graduated all four of their scoring racers from last year. Did have two seniors this year, Simon Chin, who won a race earlier in the year, and Noel Stroud. They also had Patrick Holland, who won a race earlier in the year in the league, who's a little younger.
And didn't Holland get second overall?
Yes, he did. He did at this race, and he was in that first wave as well. So that was the big question was, okay, did some... Because in my personal theory, not that I'm a Nordic coach or anything, or I've ever cross-country skied in my life, but would you rather keep your top runner to go in the second wave so they're out there and they have people to chase and pick off, and they have a 2-minute, the other people have a 2-minute head start, essentially. Did not weigh into Fritz Saunders' mind because he just went out and completely trucked it.
Yeah. Crushed it.
Was kind of wild to see him come in so far ahead of everyone else, and that's what made me nervous. Okay, you had no one to chase. Are you able to push yourself to your limits? And when you've been cross-country skiing as long as Fritz Saunders has, when you have the legacy of his father has won this event twice, his father's name is on the banner at Wacona twice, and he had it in him to do it. So did the Greylock boys, and so did the Greylock girls, as it turned out. In maybe even more of a surprise, the Greylock girls won it last year, in, I guess, which was a surprise as well, because in the league now they've kind of been shuffling with Amherst and Mohawk have come up, and I believe, I don't know if they kind of announced, but Amherst, I believe, would have won the league title. Greylock had finished as far back as 4th in league races, 3rd. They had won 1, I think, maybe week 2, but that's why I say it's unpredictable. There's so many teams, so many places can get bumped back. So if you're able to tie 2 kids together like they did in 15-16, Mia Holmgren and Elizabeth Spellman, sorry, not Elizabeth Spellman, she was 25, Josie Smith. Josephine Bay. Josie Smith was an old Greylock racer.
Oh, man.
And you have that 5 spot from Lauren Miller. All of a sudden, you're at this huge advantage, and if you can just get one more girl into that top 30, top 25 as it wound up with Spellman, you're kind of golden.
And that's what it was for the Greylock boys, too. It's just, I mean, Wacona got the top skier, but didn't Greylock get the 2nd and, like, the 4th place finishers? So they had 2 in the top 5?
Yeah, they had 2, 4, and 7,
right.
I
so
believe.
It's like that's just, even if you have number 1, that's incredible. 2 or 3 in the top 10, 3 in the top 7, that's just incredibly hard to beat.
Yeah, and they wound up beating Greylock. They wound up beating Wacona pretty handily in terms of margin.
Was it like 16 points or something like that?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, during the season, I remember it was always, like...
It was 25 to 30, 29 to 30.
Yeah.
Yep.
This was they flattened everyone else.
Yeah, and that's just the sheer mass of kids there that are filling and bumping your scores up. I said that because through three finishers, you need 4. Greylock, Amherst, Acton. It's not Acton Boxborough anymore. It's whatever.
I think that's just because it's a co-op.
I think it's Acton Neshoba maybe now. Acton Neshoba or Acton Boxborough, whoever it was, had 33 points because they had 2 girls tie for 13th place. Greylock had 36. Amherst was way back at 49. But Acton whatever's 4th ski racer was 44th, so that balloons their total kind of out of the mix. And then you're looking at Greylock, Amherst. Amherst actually gets their next one in at 23, 2 spots ahead of Greylock's, but because of that, Lauren Miller gifted their team a 4-point lead right out of the gate, and they had that 15-16. Greylock takes it.
Well, we'll switch topics when we come back. We're gonna take a little break here. I think most likely ranking our seedings aren't going to be out, but we'll still talk about it anyway. We've got a couple other games we can talk about, so keep it locked here on WTBR.
PCTV Select is now available on so many platforms. You can get it with any device you have available, all free to download and use. If you're watching at home, use your Roku, Amazon, Fire TV, or Apple TV device, or even your computer, and see programming in full HD quality. Watching on the go? Download PCTV Select from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store for your smartphone. It's that easy and free. PCTV Select is everywhere you need to be.
Help children and families struggling with mental health and behavioral issues get the treatment they need by booking an equine-assisted team building session for your organization at Berkshire Horseworks. All proceeds go directly toward funding programming for those at risk. Call Berkshire Horseworks at 413-698-3700 or visit our website, berkshirehorseworks.org.
Support for this public service announcement comes from Berkshire Community College and Park Square Productions.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pittsfield Community Radio 89.7 WTBR-FM, Pittsfield 88.1 WSBR Lee, Bird's Eye View, Jesse and Mike here. We've been refreshing the page, and I think it's my Mike's still checking it out over there, but I think it's clear to say that the Western Mass seedings for basketball are going to come out at 11 o'clock, so you got a little more time. It'll be after we're off the air. I'll definitely be posting about them on Twitter, so if you want to check out Jesse Cloggton on Twitter, I'll be breaking them down on there whenever they do come out. Mm-hmm. But in any case, there were one huge basketball game, actually 2 huge basketball games this week, and that doesn't even include the Lennox girls' buzzer beater over Frontier. But on Monday, we had a huge game between the top seeds in Class B, Taconic and Monument boys. Mm-hmm. That was an excellent game Wednesday. No, today's Thursday. Tuesday we had Hoosick Valley and Drury boys. That's an age-old rivalry. That wasn't a great game just because Drury kind of took it to Hoosick. I was kind of watching that game on NBCTC on YouTube, so I'll just quickly hit that one.
So that's the 3 seed in Class C, the 3 seed in Class D if things hold.
That was Drury's first win over Hoosick in over 2 years, so that was pretty good for them. Jorge Bond and Sam Mormon were excellent. They combined for 51 points. I believe Mormon had 27 points and like 14 rebounds, and Bond had 24 points. In the first half, they were the only Drury people to score, and Drury was like tied. So, and then in the second half, other kids started scoring, and then Drury just really took over. James Morales did a really good job limiting Hoosick's Trey Moynihan, Aiden Wicks. And Miles Beauchamp was back, Cotter Hinkle was back, both for Drury, which means that Drury's getting healthy too. So that was just a great, very impressive double-digit win it turned into. Good. Drury, I think, is peaking at the right time, so to speak. But for Monday, I was there. Monument Taconic was a just incredibly impressive performance by Taconic. They were down 14 points at the half. They were down 17 at one point in the second quarter. Foul trouble was an issue. They were down Cesar Santos, who's a really big starter for them. They were down a couple other role players, and just because of injuries. And so they had to play kids who are on JV. They were going deep into the bench. Foul trouble was an issue. It was a very physical game where the refs were calling a lot. So a lot of kids were dealing with several fouls in the first half, rotating. And because Taconic step limited, that meant the rotation was even more difficult to figure out. And so they were kind of getting down. But at the same time, you kind of got the feeling they could play with Monument. It was just their good players weren't there. And so their best players weren't there. And so in the second half, Taconic came out and flattened the Spartans. They had in the fourth quarter, they had a 6-minute, 3-second stretch of just not letting Monument score. And that was the game, right? If you don't score, it doesn't really matter. And Taconic had a 14-5 run to start the second half. Kyle McGrath had a monster night 2020. He had, I think it was 22 points, 21 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds. He had 3 blocks. Martin Bua had another 13 rebounds, 3 blocks. Had a big dunk, which, kind of capped that 14-5 run. It was just a very, very impressive night from Taconic. They shut down Monument's transition offense. Elijah Harewood really did a good job of shutting down Manny Brown in the second half. Brown had 24 points, but 17 came in the first half. He was 5 of 8 from 3 in the first half. He was 1 of 5 from 3 in the second half, so just kind of took him out of the picture. And if you can take Manny Brown out of the picture, Monument's offense is actually in trouble because he has been fantastic so far. I do feel a little bad because a couple weeks ago, I wrote about how Griffin McElroy started the game 6 of 6 from 3. And he was 6 of 7. And ever since that game, his 3-point shooting has not been great. So I'm wondering, I really don't want to have jinxed him. Yeah. And I don't know if his scoring totals have been as great in recent weeks either. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get him right with Western Mass and with state tournament coming up. Because if he can go back to scoring 15 to 20 a game, Monument will be unstoppable. But yeah, no, I was very excited to see Kyle McGrath and Dom Kaludi go at it because they're both 6'6", and there's no one else in the county who's even remotely as tall as them. So it's kind of not fair for them as centers, and McGrath firmly won that battle. Took Kaludi out of the picture entirely. So yeah, it was a great game. Taconic came back to win 62-57, I want to say. It shouldn't have even been that close. They missed a lot of. I wrote. What did I say? I think they were something like 4 for 12 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter, which is horrible. They still held on to win. But yeah, it was a very good game, and that will decide the Class B number 1 seed. That will be Taconic. Monument will be the 2 seed, and it seems like Pittsfield, which for a while had been lurking as the 5 seed, will now be the 4 seed. So they'll get one more home game, and to reward Taconic for being the number 1 seed, they have to deal with Pittsfield one more time.
Yeah, they'll likely have, if Pittsfield beats Tech, and Taconic will have to play what looks like Frontier, most likely. Wacona, I don't believe, is going to leapfrog into the tournament here. Taconic, I guess it's we have to kind of believe in some of the role players now more than we did in the past. Nate Reynolds had a monster game.
17 points.
17 on 5 threes, and then he comes out the 2 nights later. They beat Commerce last night in their regular season finale. He had another 4 threes in that one. So if he's hitting, if Elijah Harewood is kind of holding it down defensively, Elijah Harewood is I would argue, one of the top athletes in the county.
Agreed.
Just a matter of basketball sense was the question mark there. But if he's doing stuff like that, if Martin Boo is doing stuff like he's done, he had another, I think, 12 points last night. Kyle McGrath had another 22. An anomaly. He's had 22 in 3 straight games. But they look a lot better than even, mid-season they looked good enough record-wise. Now they kind of look the team, though, that could make a deep run, that could win a Western Mass title, could win their way kind of into a Final Four situation.
Yeah, and that's, I think, crucial for them, or what makes them so dangerous is they have the height to slow you down and play you in the half court, but they're not slow. Mm-hmm. They can run with most teams. And so even if you're really fast, like Monument is, they can keep pace with you. And when you have someone like Elijah Harewood, who you can just, all right, if this guard is under 6'1", Elijah Harewood can shut them down, and that's invaluable.
Yeah. Elijah's not a small kid by any means.
But he's quick. He's got good hands. He'll get up on you. He did a pretty good job of not fouling. So yeah, no, it was a very impressive win for Taconic. Monument, I believe, will have Greenfield if things hold static.
Where am I in the wrong? 2-7 would be them versus Greenfield, and then they would probably have to play South Hadley a third time. A team they've had really no trouble with this season.
Especially because that game would be at home, and they crushed South Hadley at home earlier on. I think the big question for Monument is just how do they rebound from this? The last time they've lost 2 games this season. One was to Clinton, which is the number 1 team in D4 in the States, and now to Taconic. And when they lost to Clinton, they won 12 straight. So if they win 12 straight from now, they can only win. They can only win 8 straight, because if you win 3 games, you win Western Mass champs. You win 5 games, you're state champs. Yeah. So they can only win 8. But it is to say, how are they going to rebound from this loss? Are they going to be like, oh, this is like last year all over again, or are they going to pick up the pieces?
Yeah, so Class B very well, like last year, could come down to a monster night at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yep.
If it's Taconic Monument, if Pittsfield wedges itself in there somehow, Pittsfield, we should say, did kind of right the ship a little bit after that Taconic loss. They win 4 straight going into the tournament. They beat Springfield International at the end of last week on Friday. They did not have any games this week.
And they were all there on Monday to scout out the competition.
Oh, yeah. That was a must-see game. So that'll be Class B. Class C, the question mark is, for us personally out here, is Lee entering this bracket for... they were in the bracket once before, but as a viable contender, you would imagine somewhat this year in Class C. They were the 5 seed as of Tuesday. Drury is the 3 seed, and that was
but
kind
of the question.
But how many
points are they behind the 4 seed? Well, what are the ratings?
Very close.
Because they definitely got to win to end the season. So
what's the third decimal from the decimal point? Thousandth. They are a thousandth.
Okay, so they're legitimate. They legitimately have a home game.
Yeah, they won out to finish the season as well. They beat Mount Everett obviously on Monday, and then they also won the next night at home against Franklin Tech. They blew out Franklin Tech.
So they're entering at a good time, and then
5 straight wins to close the season for the Lee boys. Right. But our question was, can they contend with a Drury? They got blown out by Drury earlier in the season. Teams are different now. Playoff situations, you would kind of like to see that. And then in Class D, the other one is Mount Everett and Hoosick Valley,
which we think will play in the first round. But Hoosick's had a rough losing streak to end the year, so whether or not Hoosick holds onto its 3 seed, Mount Everett holds onto its 6 seed remains to be questioned. Yeah,
Hoosick kind of wrapped playing stiff competition. They lose at Ware, they lose at Monument, they lose at Granby, all, I think, quality playoff teams. They did beat Belchertown and then lost at Drury and then got blown out last night by South Hadley, who is the 3 seed in Class B.
Yep.
So tough finish to the schedule, but it doesn't open the door for a Mount Everett, a team that's kind of trying to punch above its weight class, to pull off a kind of a shocker upset and get into the second round.
Well, we only have about 50 seconds here, but I will say just on the girls' side, I don't think Lennox will leap ahead of Renaissance for the 1 seed in Class C on the girls' side, but that win over Frontier will definitely give them a rating boost, so we'll just kind of see how much of a boost it gives them. And that's the same thing in Division 5 in the States. They're the 5 seed, Renaissance is the 4 seed, so top 4 seed gets home court advantage to the semifinals. So once again, if Lennox can hop, Renaissance, then they'd have home court advantage, and they wouldn't have to go to Renaissance to play in that 4-5 game. Renaissance, of course, beat Lennox in the Western Mass Championship last year. So that would be a huge movement. I don't think we have time for the girls' seeds, but like I said, we believe around 11 o'clock they'll come out. Otherwise, take it easy and have a good rest of your day, and good luck everyone in playoffs.